My next guest has a content creating production company called Magic Lemonade. I love that name. The production company specializes in television, film, and new media with offices in Hollywood, California, and Atlanta, Georgia. Her company, Magic Lemonade, creates and produces content from pre to post production for networks and studios. Known as the woman behind the laughs. I've known her a lot of years, so I know for a fact she's been associated with me on many comedy productions. She made history last year as the first African American female recipient of an Emmy for Outstanding Variety Special for her role as producer of a Dave Chappelle comedy special, and also won a Grammy for Best Comedy Album. Please welcome the Money Making Conversation, the fantastic and brilliant producer, Rikki Hughes.
Hey, hey, Rashawn, how are you?
I had to put it out there, girl. You're out there doing it. I saw your photos holding the Grammy and holding the Emmy. I love it. Share to us,
Well, thank you.
Because I don't like to, because I got a couple of Grammys, I got some Image Awards, and you can find them in my house. They're not somewhere. Where you grab? Right there, right there. Either you're blind or you just don't want to look. You can see my stuff when you walk in my house. So because as a producer, it's kind of like the crown jewel of people recognizing what you do because we operate behind the scenes. The talent always gets recognized in the streets. Generally gets recognized with a bigger paycheck. But as a producer, talk to us about winning those awards.
I mean, these awards, one, working with Dave Chappelle is always a joy, a pleasure, an honor. And then to be recognized, Dave, as you said, is always front and center, which as he should be. And, these awards were really about our peers recognizing us for, especially the Emmy, was, for Stan Lathan and I to be recognized, as the producers who really, put the show together and protected the voice for Dave. So, when we sat there and, we were up against some really big names and, some comeback, Carol Burnett's comeback, in this particular room, Martin Short, Carpool Karaoke. Like, there were some really big names there. So we were really in the place where we're excited to be in this building at this moment, right. Sharing the moment. And then they started playing Killing Me Softly, and we heard the song. We're like, wait, that's Dave's favorite song. And then they said, Stan Lathan, Rikki Hughes, Dave Chappelle, and we kind of looked at each other. We're like, get up! So we, finally got up because we just didn't really anticipate that. But we stood in a lot of gratitude and had a great time sharing that moment. And it's always great to feel like you're recognized by your peers,
It's really special because Stan Lathan, that's a legendary name that needs a documentary attached to his name, okay?
I tell him all the time. He is what, if you want to say the king of comedy, I would call Stan the king or the emperor, because, and he's so humble and, in his approach, but in the end, he's definitely one of my favorite people on this earth.
Oh, Stan and I, did Def Comedy Jam together. Stan did Steve Harvey's sitcom that was on the WB. Stan did the Kevin Hart improv show on BET. He's constantly staying current. He constantly stays relevant. And I apologize, I forgot Def Comedy Jam, which changed the face of stand-up comedy today. That's Stan Lathan. That's just part of. That's why she says he's the king of comedy, from a producer, an executive producer, from a director standpoint. He, like I said, I consider him a friend. I consider him a person, a mentor, because I've been in the position to stand back and watch what he does. But the key word that you said, very humble. Oh my God, he's so humble. It's almost ridiculous.
I mean, the fact that he goes back to Sesame Street and Mom's Mabley, like there's such a breadth of work that stands, between them. It's just, humbling.
And right now, you're the queen of comedy producing. That's my girl here, Miss Rikki Hughes. So, let's talk about some of the times I met you. Okay, just to show you the journey. I like to say the first and only BET comedy special, way back when the Steve Harvey hosted, and I was fortunate to be a producer on the show along with you. And then several times on Rip the Runway, which I thought was a cool concept of being able to making a fashion, our version of Victoria's Secret's runway. And in those moments of meeting you, what I always encountered was professionalism. You knew your job and you stayed on top of the game. Of course, I talk about the Monique Talk Show, just other projects that I wasn't personally involved. I would walk in and see you there, always smiling, always on top of your game. What motivates you to be successful?
Just, my motivation is really just to be great and in everything that I do and make sure that I'm impeccable with my words. So a lot of times that keeps me with my head down and just moving quickly through things. I know as a leader of the ship, it's always important. I know that every eye is always on me. So it's always important to be calm, cool, and collective. Like no one ever hears me speak above this voice, no matter what's going on.
Right.
And I know that there's a responsibility in that. And I just, I own that. And, it's really important for me that everything that we put onto that screen is really reflective of what our intentions were.
Now, it's really interesting when I hear you talk, because it's true. This is her tone. When she's, if she is upset, she never, brings it out. She will have the conversations, let you know if you're doing your job right or wrong. But the thing about it is that consistency. But let's talk about, before we even get into how you started in music and the transition over, the name of your company, Magic Lemonade. Give us that backstory.
So Magic Lemonade, one, I just want to say.
I had to ask about that. Now, Magic Lemonade, where does that come from?
Well, Magic Lemonade came from a place, at the point where I wanted to, I'd worked with so many other people, and I realized it was time for me to hang out my own shingle.
Right.
And I said, what happens, no matter what happens with any project that are brought to me or that I create, I always have to add a little magic to it to make it the sweetest lemonade possible. And the biggest thing is you can't say it without smiling.
Absolutely.
So it's a reminder that, look, we can't take this so serious. We really need to just enjoy ourselves. To me, the journey is just as important as the final product. So I like to make sure that, I created a place where everyone that comes there feels heard. Everyone that works with me feels like we're working together and not for me, and that they understand that this is all just a magical experience, and let's just get on the ride and have a good time.
Really, first of all, you're right, because when you said Magic Lemonade, I immediately went to my, Chick-fil-A lemonade. I love their lemonade. So, I went right there, my favorite lemonade. So, I'm already smiling, thinking about where I'm going to stop when I finish this podcast today, or this live radio show today. When I think about the way we develop our relationships, it's always a journey. Like, for instance, to be a producer, the writer, the sitcom, and all the things I've done in my life, and a manager, I started out as a stand-up comedian. And I thought I was going to be the next Richard Pryor. Or at the time when I started, Eddie Murphy was everywhere. So I was competing with his world. And then Def Jam came along, and that gave me a comedic opportunity. But you didn't start out being the queen of comedy from a producing standpoint. Talk about the start of your career in music.
Not at all. I started off in music. I worked with, we had a soundtrack that was, I don't know if you know George Jackson and Doug McHenry.
Come on. I did Jason's Lyric.
I know you did
Jason's Lyric. Okay.
And at this point, soundtracks were really big, and I had, and so they needed a soundtrack, and I brought in Warren G and his crew for the Jason's Lyric soundtrack. Mm-hmm. So, coming from there, Warren's manager said, "Hey, I got these kids. They've never been on the road. Can you help me with them?" So I started managing with Ron G, with Warren G, and started taking all the guys on the road. And that was the start of my music career. I ended up working at Priority Records for some years. And then when we did the final buyout for EMMY, I said, I'm out. I would rather go to film and TV. Mm-hmm. Moved over. I started working with Carl Craig and Ralph Farquhar. And so we started producing shows from there. So my entry from music into TV was through comedy. So that's why all my projects you see always have a music and a comedic base. Somehow it's infused. And I kind of work back and forth, and it goes, in the live world as well. So, and then I started working with Stan Lathan. And, throughout my career, I didn't start off as a PA or any of the traditional routes. When yes. I started off, I came in, I said, I'm a producer. I went and did my research on what it took. And, I stuck my chest up high, stood with my head high, and walked in and said, I'm a producer. Let's produce some shows together. And then I realized I needed to bring some things to the table. What I did have was great relationships with talent. so I was able to leverage those relationships and
Uh-huh.
with my newfound knowledge of what it takes to produce and put those things together and really, started to dig in.
It's really when you started going down memory lane, Carl Craig, which I did there.
Hmm.
I worked with him on HBO, the Ice T project on HBO back in the day, and then Ralph Farquhar, like a big brother, little brother, to me. He's right up there with Stan Lathan. Do you look at them as mentors to you?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I've learned something. I pride myself on learning something from everyone that I come in contact with, from whatever position they hold. But definitely Carl, Carl was one who just said, because he came from music with the music video world,
Mm-hmm.
and he was, constantly like, hey, Rikki, if we do this, we can do this.
Yes,
He was
yes.
constantly had a plan for us together, which was, really great because even just stepping in next to someone, I always say, always stand next to a W. And everyone says, what does that mean? I said, always stand next to a winner.
Mm-hmm.
And if you can stand next to a winner and then still have your own mindset that you're choosing to be a winner as well, you make yourself in great company and you can move effortlessly through the process. So, we always had a kind of winning mentality no matter what task we were up against. And Ralph has always been, I learned so much from Ralph. No one is, I think, bolder than Ralph
Come on now.
and committed, to his creative. So,
He's
we fought, we've loved, we've done all that stuff between all of us, and at the end, we finally get to the end of the project, and it's usually a really great work.
I tell you, the names that you're talking about, the work ethic that they allow you to see. This is a journey with everybody. You can understand the tone. None of these people you've mentioned are screamers. None of these people want to be noticed on the set. They just want to be able to
Hmm.
direct and pull out the best talent that individual or that best script or the best read from that script, the best production that they're involved in. And that really sets the tone for what we're trying to do and what we're trying to deliver on Money Making Conversation. I'm talking to Rikki Hughes. She is called the Queen of Comedy from a producing standpoint. Has an amazing production company located in Hollywood, California, and Atlanta, Georgia, called Magic Lemonade. When we get back, we want to find out what does 2020 hold for her company. Also, how did she meet Dave Chappelle? Let me tell you how I met Dave Chappelle. But she has a story too. Because, I've learned with her, our stories kind of intertwined. She busted out with Jason's Lyric. Jason Lyric! The only movie I ever starred in was Jason Lyric. Fast Freddy. Hi, this is Rushion McDonald, and you're listening to Money Making Conversation, a show I created to give you information about winning and an opportunity to understand the world that you're trying to win in. That is the world of entertainment and the world of being an entrepreneur. Being an entrepreneur is definitely taking a stronger foothold into what we're doing because of social media. Social media allows us to brand our vision, brand our ideas, and promote our dreams with a plan and allow us to go out there and not reach. I always tell people who live in the Muhammad Ali era, I am the greatest. That he promoted that, he said that, and now we understand that was a brand that he put out there that will live throughout our times that we live. But corporations been bragging like that all their lives. Ford, McDonald's, talking about their products, talking about their hamburgers, talking about their cars, talking about their computers. Now in the era that we live in, you can do the same with social media. On the phone, I have a guest. I know many times, she's talking about she did the music soundtrack for Jason's Lyric, the Jason Lyric, like I said, one of the movies I starred in as Fast Freddy. All I say, Rikki, for some reason we got to work together in 2020. That's all I got to say.
Let's do it.
See, that's how she did it. Wasn't no hesitation. Remember she said she didn't come in doing mailroom. She didn't come in doing PA work. She said, I'm a producer. I said, let's work together. She said, let's do it. And it's really funny because I'm going to share a little story. As a writer, I came in as a, you have different levels of writing in sitcom. You have a staff writer,
Right.
executive story. I came in as an executive story editor. I skipped the
Hmm.
staff writer because of the fact that I it's how you prepare and what I presented,
Hmm.
and I felt that why do I need to start there? And so when you said the story about being a producer, see, a lot of people don't want to do the homework or the legwork because once you commit to something, you can't lay back on your laurels. In other words, you have to do it 5 times harder because you have to play catch up, you have to learn on the job, and people expect certain things from you when you are being hired for that title. And those are the challenges that a
Yeah.
lot of people don't step up for. And that's what annoys me the most in our business that we call entertainment, because there are no guarantees, as you know, Rikki. Is like you think that check is coming, and all of a sudden it doesn't come as fast as you want,
Hmm.
or it might be. And in our business as well, money can come in large lump sums, and then it can die
Yep.
off. So you have to have an accounting in your head too. This check coming in February,
Absolutely.
it got to go all the way through December.
The discipline.
Yes. So let's talk
The
about that
discipline is
discipline. Let's talk
everything.
about that whole process of running the production company. You're seeking out jobs and opportunities. You being recommended for jobs and opportunities. What is a real production company? I know I've had a couple of people on. I've never asked that question. What is a production company in the media of television and film?
So you have a couple of different production companies. You have some that are just kind of a loan out production company, that they're really kind of a name only, and they're a name for maybe the talent. Then you have a production company like ours. It's a full service production company. So we take everything from concept all the way till we deliver it to the air.
Right.
So from the moment there's an idea about a show,
Right.
then we immediately start to ideate about the idea, whether we're working with a network or a studio. Then we get to the process of making sure that we've had a creative meetings of the minds, that yes, this is the exact project that we like to create.
Mm-hmm.
Then we start to create, budgets. How much does this cost? Can we create this vision within the limits of this budget number? And then who are the proper staffing? Who can help us bring this vision alive? And making sure that we curate that crew that truly makes sense for our end game, our
Right.
end product.
Right.
And then it's a process of making it happen and knowing that every single production, I don't care how prepared you are, there are going to be some little fires. So I always say the best thing I can do is have the best pre-production process as possible, so that I'm prepared that if any fire comes, I can quickly pivot to the next and keep moving so that we can still make our goal. And after we finish our production, then we get ready to go into the edit bay, our post-production, music, everything that comes along with it, making the edits to satisfy whether it's the studio or the network,
Right.
and then get it out there to the world. So that's kind of in a snapshot of what our production company does. And we come in different stages. Usually we come in at the beginning, at the ideation point,
Right.
where it's just an idea, whether we've pitched it or someone has pitched it to us.
Mm-hmm.
Or sometimes we come in and I have to really put some magic on, and this is where the lemonade is. Sometimes I get lemon, and people say, Rikki, we need help. Help. We got, the people that started this got in over their head.
Right.
They didn't quite know how to get us to the finish line. Can you come in and do that? And so I've done that too. I don't like to do too much of that because you're kind of walking in from a deficit.
Well, it's really
But for
important
the
that you
most
say
part-
that, because that means your voice is important. And from a female standpoint of being an African American, you have to. That's your brand. How do you protect that and make sure you put out quality content?
I think my biggest litmus test is this something that I would want to watch? Is this something that I'm engaged in? A lot of projects come my way, and I have to have discernment, and I say no a lot. And, the agents and managers are like, oh, my gosh, Rikki, why are you saying no? This is the greatest project. This is working with this person. I said, yeah, but it's not aligned with my core beliefs. And at this point in my career, I know that when it gets tough, I have to be 100% in, 10 toes down, willing to spend my own money if necessary to make sure that this is correct. And if I can't say that about this project or feel like I can get to that point, then I have to walk away, because then there's somebody else better suited for this project.
Right. Right. And that's really being honest with yourself.
I have to be.
And then a lot of people, they look at them, they look at the check opportunity, but also that check can by taking the wrong project can affect other opportunities. And that's what you're saying right now. Make sure you stay in the lane that presents what you want to represent and what you're trying and your ability to create. Not so much that check, correct?
Absolutely. So important.
We talked about him earlier. We actually just mentioned his name. We're talking about Dave Chappelle. I met Dave Chappelle in 1992. We both did HBO Def Comedy Jam together. And it was funny. We meet each other. I hadn't saw Dave in like 10 years. It was like a year and a half ago. I was 2 years ago. I was walking into the Four Seasons Hotel, And this young man came running behind me going, hey, 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 hey. He said, are you Rushion McDonald? I go, yeah. And he walked away. I go, excuse me. Why are you asking about Rushion McDonald? He said, because Dave Chappelle's in the car and he wasn't sure. He hadn't saw him in a long time. I said, Dave Chappelle is in the car out there. Tell his behind to get on in, and we saw each other. Because I say that because he's that type of guy. He's a likable, approachable guy, a creative genius. Please understand, this is the guy works at his craft. Like on his upcoming special, he was just in Houston working at a very small venue that it's like C200 to work on his material. And so so that's how he doesn't go out there ad lib. If you give him a check, he's going to come back with the ability with the material. And so I say that story because of the fact that most people will just have let me walk in the hotel and whatever. Because I saw Dave in years. And for him to want to know that was me, and then we hugged, we took some photos and all that good stuff. But tell us about your relationship with him and how, because you have to meet a person to be able to work with a Dave, because Dave's a creative person and he wants people around him that has that same energy, correct?
Absolutely, absolutely. And, I first met Dave actually on Def Comedy Jam as well. I was working with Stan. It was our